Everybody's going nuts for these Baofeng Minis. Oh, this is a UV-3R, the first tiny Baofeng. The Baofeng Mini. No, this is the TI from Baofeng, 70 centimeter only. No, the Baofeng Mini, the new hot radio out on the YouTubes. This is a small radio that puts out 5 watts on VHF and UHF and has some pretty novel features for both programming it and its actual hand programming in the field. Something I wish I'd see more of in other radios, actually. So these were sent to me from Radioddity. Thanks very much for sending them out. They're $45 for a pair, and you can get them on the link in the video description. Let's take a look at these radios and see if they really worth your money. Do they meet FCC purity standards? And would I recommend them? Now, getting this out of the way first and foremost, I am cuckoo for tiny radios. And I've been hurt in the past with many tiny radios that honestly kind of didn't really live up to the namesake of a tiny radio. Yes, it's tiny, but you know, it's not really usable in most situations. I have tried almost all of them and try to get my hands on just about every one I can, including vintage ones like the VX2 and I think one of the penultimate tiny radios, the VX3. Even going in and doing repairs on old classics like the Alinco. All of these radios I have videos on my channel. You can look it up. T1, UV-3R. The VX3 has been in a number of videos, but regardless. So I know what a good tiny radio looks like, right? So let's compare and contrast. I'm going to take the new Baofeng Mini and I'm going to compare it to its previous predecessor here, the UV3, for size-wise. You can see the UV3 is a little wider, and boy howdy though, the UV3 is a lot skinnier. The UV Mini is a little chonker, little thick in the rear there. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's a problem. They feel fine. They both feel good. It's still small, much smaller than a UV-5R, and I think that's good enough to say that it's a mini, you know. And just for reference, what do you think the Baofeng was copying when they made the UV-3R? Any guess, guys? What do you think they were looking to make a copy of when they came out with this radio? Yeah. Anyway, vastly different radios. The VX3 versus the UV3. Same thing with the Yaesu, and obviously the Alinco, the credit card radio. So as far as Mini goes, it's good. It's got the Baofeng connector. It has a light on the top. I have this set up for scanning on the side button, but you can have that set up for doing the light or whatever. Scanning speed is a little slow when you run the scan control. I've got that set to the side button. And something that's interesting is it has a bottom A and B PTT button, and it does work. It splits the band, so you don't have to go up and down, A, B, blah, blah, blah. You can just, you know, twiddle the different buttons. I have set this to dual watch, so it's watching 2 channels at the same time. It is programmable with the Baofeng, and I have this one programmed as well for that. All the things that you would need right out of the gate, you got it with this. All right, so these beautiful Baofengs come in a beautiful Baofeng box. It's got a lanyard. Oh, 2 charging cables. Look at that. But they are just charging cables and pocket clips for all of them. The lanyards are kind of cool. I've actually used these at Hamfest, but other than that, you know, just use the pocket clip. Box out of here. Anyway, these radios. So let's pop open the battery. There's a thumb nick here in the bottom. Pops out real easy. These do have an FCC code. If you guys want to go deep dive on that, you can. At least it says it does. Hold on. It has an FCC code, and it actually states 5R Mini. It's got a water-resistant seal. It looks like it, but I don't know if these are actually water-resistant. I did not see that stated. Yeah, perusing the website, I can't see that this actually claims water resistance. It might take a bit of rain if you're out hiking, but I probably wouldn't be sustained water contact with these. Anyway, slaps into place, USB-C on the back. It's got the traditional Baofeng connector, which you will need for programming, an A and B button for transmit, and then a programmable C button, as it's called. The antennas that come with this are pretty bad, and I agree with all the statements that have been made. It's just kind of too small to be effective, so you're going to want to upgrade that, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. Other than that, pretty traditional Baofeng controls, right? You've got frequency mode, channel mode, A and B split. This one's set to single watch right now. Let's change that. So we'll go to menu and then go to radio set, down to 15. Dual watch, want to turn that on. So there's that. And there's this center button that controls the light, but I usually set this to scan, although you can leave it to menu if you want. Speaking of the radio, let's try that real fast. Quite good. I mean, you'd expect it to be. Can't mess that up these days. On the menu, base menu control, when you click menu, you have scan, radio set, program channel, wireless CPS, radio info. Really, really easy. And this kicks it into scan mode when you click scan, of course. And you can change that between time, frequency range. I like time. In perusing the menu, I did find a setting that talks about scan, and then under scan memory, there's a decoder and encoder option. Don't know what that is. That seems to be the only thing that gets a mention of CTCSS decoding. That would be handy if that was on here. That would be a nice thing to be able to just stay on one frequency and have a matching radio or repeater and be able to pick that up if you were at the, within the input range of a transmitting station. That would be nice. But yeah, it's not there, and yeah, don't know why. The radio is actually scanning in the background right now, which you can see is not fast, but totally workable there. So let's put this into channel mode. And I have 372 channels loaded on this right now. Okay, that actually was a repeater that came back. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, just program it in Chirp. It's very easy that way. You can program this by hand in a way that I think is actually quite effective. So let's go down to Program Channel. And under Program Channel, you can change things like the name of whatever station. So this is showing me the channel that I'm on. This is the Raytheon campus, which is in Fullerton, California, as well as the receive frequency, transmit frequency, and you can go in and adjust the whole thing. So in fact, I got to go change my 70 centimeter simplex, but you can go through and modify, change all of this. So just go through the list and do whatever you need to do. Ooh, encryption. Ooh, scramble. Nice. And then you can add it to a specific channel, and that would set it or change it into whatever it was. So if you were on channel 6 and you were modifying it, then you can change it back to channel 6. And that's it. It gives you just the things you need, which is exactly what radio companies should have been doing for the longest time. Like, just separate the chunk of things you do most often into use groups, use cases. And in this case, the use case is setting a channel. Like, that's what you need to do with a radio like this. So it's perfect. So let's do that now. So I'm going to go back to... Yeah, so this one is low. That's my, that's on minus right now. See, I don't like that. I don't like the offset. So we're going to change that. Let's go back into menu. And all we need to do is change the transmit frequency. No, that's not right. We want it to be 46000. Okay, that's a better way to do it. And we want this high is good. So there should be no offset now. So I can go ahead and go scan, add, channel memory. Yep. And it should be channel 3. Confirm. So now when we go back, yeah, we should just be able to, yep. So we got rid of the offset. So that worked out pretty well. Now there's a companion app that works with this, and to use it, it's very simple. It works exactly as expected. It's just kind of a bridge too far. I don't know why you need to do this for reasons that you have to log in. There's no reason for an app that programs a radio to make you log in, but here I am giving my phone all kinds of nasties to be able to show you how it's done. But anyway, so we're going to go to devices. So let's see if we can add a device. So here we go. Hey, look, it found my walkie-talkie. I don't want to auto-detect. I just know it's a UV-5R Mini. This one's green. That one is black, so whatever. Let's go ahead and read the frequency and write. And sure enough, we're getting a little program message there. All right, and yeah, these are all the frequencies that we've loaded. Let's go into the frequency area and see frequency mode. Yep, band A, band B. Let's go to function settings, because this is actually something I didn't really pass through. And I was kind of curious if there would be more frequent or more function settings on the app than in the radio, because it felt like it was a little light. Specifically, let's see, we get... Oh, there's quite a decent amount of stuff in here. Okay. Okay, so this can do DTMF decode, which I didn't see in the phone or in the app on the radio. So that's interesting. Okay. So yeah, it works. You can go play around with that. But hey, let's go to the chat room. What do the messages say here? Oh man, there's nobody talking about my radio? Dang. Now I'm going to turn off the radio wireless programming because if it affects the battery, I'd just rather have it off and we're done programming it that way anyway. But let's see if the numbers match the claims and test it if it's a dirty, dirty boy or if it's okay to transmit due to spurious emissions. So here we go. We're going to transmit on 70 centimeters. We're getting 4.35 watts out of it. And on UHF, transmitting 4.30 watts. Now, these are not fully charged, but I would expect it to be a little bit better than that. Although we got a good match, so the dummy load is doing the job. All the power should be going in. Interesting. So a little bit under the stated power output. That's something to note, but let's see. Let's try the other one too, since we can do that as well. That's 4.5 and 4.6. So yeah, that's the thing to keep in mind is when you have a fully charged battery, you might maintain the 5-watt output for a little while, but eventually that's just going to decline and then you're going to be down to the 4-watt range. Either way, it's not that big a deal. Now, the thing that fascinates me with these Chinese radios is if they are spuriously noisy or clean radios. And depending on which one you have, even between two, you may get different results. And in fact, we're seeing that online. There's a good channel out there you probably know of, The Smoking Ape. He does a lot of this stuff. And he's got 2 of these, and his were kind of dirty. So, you know, curious to see what we've got here. Anyway, I have this set up to run a measurement of harmonics. I actually have a preset. This is a Tiny SA Ultra Plus. These are available on Amazon. I'll put a link in the video description. We've got a line here at negative 16.02 dB, which means at no time should any of the harmonics, any of these little lines you're going to see pop up, go above that line. And our fundamental should be about 30-ish dB. I have a 50-watt, 50 dB attenuator here, which is protecting the radio and setting a general signal level for the frequency that we're testing against, the fundamental frequency for the radio we're transmitting. So this is a device under test now. This is a DUT, as the folks call it online, the smart folks that do this kind of stuff as a job. So we've got 2 meter, 70 centimeter here, so let's throw 2 meters at it. So these are all harmonics, and you can see them, the deltas are listed, and we're letting it calm down a minute. And we see a peak of 5, the 5th harmonic, and we're about 36 dBm. And yeah, so that's clean from what I see, unless I'm doing something wrong on my test. But I think that is a measure of success. Now, because the radios can be different, I'm going to also do this on my other radio here. And I'm kind of curious what our result difference will be between these two. And I forgot I should probably run this on low power as well, because I think that may be different on this radio. But here we go, 2 meters. Oh yeah, look at the harmonics. Yeah, about the same. So if you want to change the power at any time, just hold down 8. And you see it goes to low. Let's try that again. Oh! That's way dirtier on low power. That's crazy, and that's what I use for All-Star. Look at, you can see the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th harmonic are all kind of popping up, but they're under the blue line, so I'm not worried about it yet. Now I'm curious about the other guy too. Let's test him out. What if God, it's so interesting how these radios. It's like, yeah, well, we got close. Hope you don't mind, purchaser, buyer, if you care about that stuff. Good luck. Oh my God, here it comes. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's still high, so let's drop it down. No, gotta be here. Ah! Dirty boy. No, it's not that bad. Not that bad. Still there though. Which I guess is a proof of concept of the test at least. So I'm semi-happy about that. So they're still there on low power on the 2nd radio as well, which we can see running there on the side. Yeah, the harmonics are there, but they're under my line, and I think my test is satisfactory with the 50 dB attenuator. But these radios also have a weather radio feature. If you hold down the 0 key, You get weather. And this is on the bad antenna, and I'm hearing it pretty well. In my shack, though, there's some weird spots of, yeah.
Southwest winds around 15 miles an hour in the afternoon.
Yeah, I've got to be touching it. Don't know if there's an alert feature with this or not. It does work on scan as well. It will scan through the channels. Trying to put a bow on this video, but Soda Plus, my buddy Mark, went to an absolute legend's house, Doug, who's a member of our club. He has one of the most impressive testing setups around. In fact, from what I understand, go watch Mark's video to know more information. Link is in the video description. He's the guy who wrote in the ARRL handbook how to test radios for spurious emissions, at least it's HTs or something along those lines. He did a video, and they tested 3 Baofeng Minis, not mine, so bringing the total to 10. No, I can math. 5, that's right. And he said that all of them were free of spurious emissions, so much so that they didn't even see harmonics.
I'm curious if this radio is clean or dirty.
It sounds pretty simple, but it's going to take some careful measurement.
We have calibrated numbers. You ready to push the button?
I am. I'm pushing it.
You see the primary at minus 12.75, but there's nothing else here at either of the markers. So these radios are delivering what they said they were going to deliver, and they're doing it without any visible harmonics.
Because our boy Doug has all the test equipment, I'm also going to send probably both of my tiny essays to him to get them verified that they are acceptable for amateur radio testing. So thank you, Doug, and thanks, Mark, for doing a really cool video. Again, go check it out. Anyways, let's wrap up my thoughts on the Baofeng Mini. All right, so what are my thoughts on the new Baofeng Mini? Well, I think I agree with a lot of folks that, yeah, you should probably swap the antenna out for it. There's a number of smaller antennas that'll work a little bit better. Go check out my everyman antenna test videos that I've done, taking antennas like these to the park and testing them at least as objectively as I can to determine which antennas would be good for receiving, transmitting. You get the idea. Now, from a Baofeng standpoint, right, if you have to judge a Baofeng by a Baofeng, what would I say? Well, it needs to be programmable in chirp. It must have dual band. It must be VHF, UHF, unless it's a super tiny boy like the T1, which kind of had its own purposes. It needs to be 5 watts, just straight up 5 watts. And honestly, I've been seeing a trend with a lot of Baofengs where they're spectrally clean. Now, there's a bit of controversy with this radio. Good guy, the Smokin' Ape out on YouTube, he did a video on this, and his units not spectrally clean. I believe he always does his due diligence on his testing, and his method of testing, which, by the way, I do the same thing he does. And in fact, I confirmed with him. We conferenced to determine if my testing was incorrect. I found that this was okay. He did not. So what does that say? Does it say that I did it wrong? Well, that's always likely. But in this case, I think that we're both doing exactly the same test. We just have different radios. It's the same radio, but the quality control is different, and that's concerning. Obviously, I like to recommend radios that meet FCC standards for purity. And that's not like me saying, oh, FCC, yes, I believe and follow everything you do. No, it's because I don't want my transmission leaking into other frequency spaces. I don't want to interrupt other communications. And considering what a harmonic is, the higher frequencies that these harmonics could go into could impact other services wholly unrelated to amateur radio. So for those reasons, it's tough for me to give it the recommendation because I'm a bit worried about the quality control. Now, that could have been a pre-production radio. It's a thing we hear a lot in the YouTube review space, is that we get these fresh off the production line, and sometimes these are prototype radios, at least that's what we're told. And so we kind of have to trust that the company is going to do the best for the consumer and also following the rules of the FCC and put out radios that meet their standards. I don't think it's that hard to make a radio today that meets the FCC standards. So as long as these radios come out and they're spectrally clear, then I don't have a problem recommending them. It's small, it's 5 watts, it's doing what it says, it's USB-C for the battery. It works really well. The airband was serviceable in my testing. However, when I put it on my big collinear antenna on my roof, I think it was overloading the front end of this radio. When I put on an antenna like this and took it out in the front yard, I was able to hear the local municipal airport's weather system, and that worked fine, and it sounded pretty good.
10, clear skies. altimeter 2980, CY Alpha pressure used, landing and departing runway 24. Advise on unable contact, you can have information, Delta.
I did use the app that is downloadable for Android and iPhone. I don't recommend it. And it's simply because they make you log in to use it. There's no reason that you would need to log into an app to be able to program your radio. So yeah, while the programmable software works and you can do it wirelessly, I don't recommend you do it. It's easy enough to actually program this on the radio, which I thought was totally painless and easy to replicate for multiple channels. And of course, it's on Chirp now. So you go get a good cable. By the way, the cable I recommend is in the video description. Go check it out. Highly recommended. Still today, one of the best cables you can get for not just this Baofeng, but many other radios because it has exchangeable head types. Those connectors, you know, everybody's got their own little version of those connectors. 6-in-1 cable setup. It's inexpensive. Go check it out. Anyway, because it's in Chirp, because you can hand program it very easily, it does airband, it does all the Baofeng things, plus more. It's kind of an easy recommendation. And at $45, I think it's actually $47-ish, not including shipping. Divide that by 2, right? What are we talking? $23 for one of these radios? That's not bad. And I'd rather have one of these than a standard UV-5R or sub-variant of that type of Baofeng. I think that the Baofeng is, you know, it's now showing its age, considering my first one was 2013, so it's already over 10 years now. It's crazy. This is a better radio. This is a good radio at $25, assuming spectral purity. Right? I gotta slap that tag on the top of it. The two I have are clean. Smoking Apes didn't look like his were clean. That worries me. It obviously worries him too. So I provide this information for you, the dear viewer, so that you're knowledgeable before you go off and spend your hard-earned money. Anyway, if you do decide, consider using the link in the video description. My link for Radioddity. Yes, I'm an affiliate. Thank you very much for your time. Please leave your comments below. I'd love to engage with you. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I go live every Saturday, every other Wednesday for Ham Nation, and I try to post as many videos as I can during the week, but man, living is hard out here in 2025. I'm Josh KI6NAZ. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. 73.